Greetings everyone. I have decided to go ahead and do these couple of videos, so 2 should be uploaded today if my motivation stays where it is. I had promised before to give you guys a little rundown on how I prepare for blending threads. Blending threads, let's go back a little bit further. When there's a pattern that calls for 2 different color threads on the same needle, it's considered blending or tweeting, and I've come up with a little way that makes my life a little bit easier when having to deal with that. I ran into it with, obviously, Teresa Wentzler's, and then when I did my fruit pillow, the lemons, limes, and more, that had some blended threads in it also. So when I did that, I had some Ada that I wasn't going to use, and I decided to go ahead and use it for my blended threads. Now, recently I just started another, well, I have 2 with blended threads right now. I have my Grapes pillow, which is by Vermilion. Those are in the Just Cross Stitch magazines. And then I just started the Peacock from Teresa Wentzler. So that has a ton of blended threads. Alright, what I do. Now, when I first started this, I did it a little bit different, so you'll see that there's scribbling on this. But what I did was I took a piece of Ada that I wasn't going to use. I knew I wasn't going to stitch on it. And plus, if you're going to use up something, you might as well use something that, make it handy, right? Reduce, reuse, recycle. So, what I originally did was I made grid blocks on it with a Sharpie marker. And I would draw each individual symbol. Well, doing that is great for the first time, but then you have to cross it out and put the other one, and you have to be artful with some of these symbols. And although I can sort of draw, some of it's really sketch. So, what I then decided to do was just put numbers. As you'll see, I started at the bottom here and numbered across and up. What I've also done is number, hang on, I'm going to show you a totally different chart than what this is for. I've numbered my blends only on this one, because on the, okay, let me back up here. I've also used, this is a piece of Osnaburg, I think it's pronounced. It's kind of floppy. The Ada gives it a little bit more stability to open up, but so I've done the same thing here, and I was able to get 51 blocks on this one. Used a roller, right? So, since I don't generally make extra needles for colors, single colors, I only numbered my blended threads. So number 1 is here. It's a blended thread. It uses those 2 colors. What I ended up doing was, okay, so when I started, I just did the blended threads I was going to use, and then I sat here the other day, I don't know, it was like a couple weeks ago. I said, oh, let me pre-blend all of them. Well, you need a crap ton of needles to do that. And I have a lot, but I was like, you know what? After the first one, I was like, nah, I think I'll just do it as I go along. So, that's 2 colors. Now, what I did was, I took one strand of each color. Let me back up. This is a hot mess. It's hard for me to explain exactly how my mind works. Kind of scary to let you in. Kind of scary for you to be in here. So, okay. So this uses Ecru in 613 for this one. Basically what I did was I cut a length. Most of my lengths average about 34 inches. Because I pull out my whole entire skein, put the 2 ends together. At the center point of that, I cut it, I put all the ends together, and I cut it again, and by the time I'm done, I have 8 lengths 8 6-strand lengths that are about 34 inches long. Once that's done, if I'm going to use it for a blend, obviously I'm not going to use loop method because there's one of each strand, so I cut that one more time, so then I'll have a 19-inch strand. So once I have the two different 19-inch strands, which is the ecru and 613 on this one, I split those up. I took one strand of each and I put it on a needle. Once I had it on the needle, I went and put it in block number 1 because that is the number for that blend. These two colors are not very different to each other. A couple of the other colors sometimes are, there's a lighter and darker green on this one. That's for in the tree. So I did that for each one, and as I did each one, I just put the needle in and then wrap the extra thread around. Otherwise, it can get tangled. If I'm going to use it right away, then I don't wrap it around. I just wrap it around as I'm putting away the project for the night or whatever. This makes it easy to fold this up, by the way, and put it back in the project bag where it belongs. Now for this one, this is for my grapes pillow. I do have some single colors that I sort of, what I consider pinned in here, because I used them for blends too, and then I just put the rest on the color, because I'll show you. That's the pattern I'm talking about. So I ended up, on this one, I numbered all of them. There were a few blends, but I put a number for every one of them. So even if it was a single color, and I hope I am not totally confusing you. It's a judgment call on what you want to do. For the Teresa Wentzler with so many, I just wanted to number the blends. This other one didn't have as many colors, and I numbered all of them. So I had some blends, and I was just pulling them as I went along. See, this one's still open. I must have used it for something. Anyway, I have single colors here that I didn't feel like putting back in the baggie, so I just sort of attached them on there. Because this isn't felt, it wouldn't really stick. Plus, I don't trust that to stay for long periods of time. So I put a pin. And then I also park my extra needles up in the corner. So I can, if I come across another blend I'm getting ready to use, I have the needles there. You can have them in like a needle case. Like this is a good 100 or so of these needles that I got from like Hong Kong or something. I ordered just a whole bunch. I think that's it on that. I mean, I know what colors each one are. I think with because DMC, well, at least in the US, it's fairly cheap compared to the over dyes or the hand dyed threads. So if I have one 19-inch length left over, I just toss it out when I'm done with the entire project. In the meantime, for like for my grapes pillow, what I did was put them in snack baggies. Snack baggies are cheaper than the floss away bags. And I had pulled all the colors, put them in these, and put little loops in number order, so I could just pull out what I needed as I went along. And in case I might as well show it, right? This is how far I am on those grapes. This one looks like a butt. So, anyway, that is the way I prepare for the blended threads. It works for me. It takes a little bit of prep work, but I think I'd rather prep all the stuff first instead of being in the middle of stitching and then have to stop and figure out, let me pull this one, let me pull that one. It's okay for the first one, but it's nice. Once you pull one of each one, then you have 5 strands on that leftover. So you might as well just pair them all together and put them in there, and then they're ready for when you go to use it again. That's my thinking on it anyway. If you guys have a better idea or you have any questions because it's clear as mud, then make sure you just leave me a comment below and I'll try to answer everything a little bit clearer than mud. All right, happy stitching. Enjoy.